So Ben, this is interesting to me. It just came out, and it's about. I haven't really talked about self-publishing on the air before, but the self-publishing industry doesn't pay well because everybody's doing it now. But it's an interesting new phenomenon with business, and in my opinion, it's a good addition to your portfolio as long as you're not planning to make money on it. Just like having a business card or a website just adds to your persona, to who you represent yourself to be in the public, and it gives you that extra credence that you might need when you're dealing with other people in your particular field. So it's really no surprise that Amazon is getting into the self-publishing business. What is interesting is that they're actually subverting a lot of the very good books, or at least the very popular books that are so famous on Amazon. For instance, they're saying now, by the way, this was on CNN, Amazon's knockoff problem. It says, the beginning sentence is brilliant. It says, perhaps it should be called Spamazon. It's weird because I just recently heard about this new...
I've heard about it before, and actually when I was researching the self-publishing, you had mentioned it more than a few times on self-publishing, and so I went and looked at it, and Amazon's probably one of the better guys that do it, that actually get rid of people that are knocking off books.
No, that's the surprise.
Really?
Yes, that's what I was so surprised at, because you would think that they wouldn't be in direct competition with their own top-selling authors. I guess they're just trying to corner the market in all areas.
Well, when you say in competition, I mean, if are they doing knockoff books like where people are copying the exact pretty much book, page to page?
Yeah.
They do a pretty good job of knocking out. They certainly have a huge problem.
Really?
They have a huge problem. And it's not easy. How could they actually go through and check and read all this? And they're trying to depend more on users to kind of report it. And I think that's where that they're ending up getting a lot of the feedback is from users who already read the books. And there's like, hey, I read this before. Some guy stole your content, versus they don't have any type of automated system in there that I know of that allows them to instantly reject books for quality.
You might change your mind when I read a little of this to you, or maybe you'll have some additional insights into this. It says here there are a number of books on Amazon with similar titles to much more popular ones. 50 Shades of Grey was an example, and that's a new book out that's really aimed toward the middle-aged female market. It's soft to medium porn, literature porn, and it's about a young woman who gets into a relationship with an older, successful man who likes domineering sex. It's really just another 9.5 weeks, but they say it's terribly written and very boring for the most part and quite wooden. However, it's taking off by storm, and now there is 35 Shades of Grey, so it went from 50 Shades of Grey to just a little over half of it. Both books are written by authors with two first initials, E.L. James and J.D. Light. Both are the first in a trilogy about the young girl who falls for an older, successful man, yada, yada, yada. Another one that's out there is...
So they're really... That guy's just playing off the fact that the title's there, maybe hoping that you don't realize that the titles are very close to each other.
And it's the same genre. I mean, it's probably written just as poorly, so it probably doesn't make much of a difference which one you buy. But then there's The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Everybody knows that one, right? And I've read that. I thought it was a good book. I've read better, but I thought it was okay. But interestingly enough, now there's the I Am the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, as opposed to The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. And Twilight New Moon, instead of just Twilight or New Moon. And they're doing very well. And there's also one that's...
I hope there's a return.
Oh, I don't know. They're getting bad reviews. I mean, for instance, people are giving them 1 star, saying they're poorly produced, but that's not really the point for these authors. They're just churning them out. And it says here, if you want to buy the bestseller Thinking Fast and Slow, you have to be careful where you click, because there's also Fast and Slow Thinking, which... the original author of Thinking Fast and Slow says there is no such expert. It's a ripoff. The comments on it are quite amusing. Rather shocking that Amazon allows this sort of thing. So apparently Amazon is not really policing. In fact, they're allowing it because here it says not only do they sell the books, but Amazon is helping their authors create them. All of the apparent copycat books that Fortune found on Amazon were made through CreateSpace, which is a division of Amazon. Amazon splits the proceeds with authors.
Well, they split the proceeds because they take like some money out. If you're selling the book for like under $1, it's a big split to them if it's $3. But yeah, so you can self-publish an ebook for very cheap or for nothing, and end up making money off it. And they definitely, I've heard a lot about this online. What do you have?
Oh, we have a new producer, everybody. This is Bill. He is our producer tonight, and Bill wants to say something. Go ahead, Bill.
I was going to talk about the eBay books. Is that what are you talking about? Amazon, right?
Right.
And I met a guy on another show that I was working. He was a guest, and he does science fiction books.
Really?
And his is like the top science fiction books on Amazon, and he's rolling in like 15 G's a month.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. See, I need to get published.
But if he ends up getting knocked off, I mean, that's where the aspect. It is happening. Somebody's going to take one of his books and they're going to rewrite it, or they're going to actually. This sounds a lot more clever than what I've seen. People would actually just republish the same exact book,
wow,
and it would be up there for a while, and they'd certainly get some money. Now they have a way to reject this money. They have a holding period of the money, so if they catch it in time, it's going to get
right.
It's
so
going to get returned to you.
Duplicate.
And I think Amazon has less of a problem. That's what I'm not in there. I haven't been ripped off, and I haven't published any books in there. But I've heard that they have less of a problem than a lot of the other places that are doing self-publishing.
So speaking of jobs, Amazon should be looking for somebody that, like you said earlier, can reject this content.
Very true.
Yeah.
They get so many submissions, though. They get tons of submissions. It would be impossible, especially if you're talking about the amount of words they do. And I guess, yeah, those titles, similarity, and
but you could also
I think
build something pretty easy.
Depending upon the actual customer base, it is a good resource. If they're getting 1 stars, if they're getting 2 stars, reviews, and people are saying, "Hey, I already saw this before. Hey, are you really looking for this?" That's a way better. That's why those reviews are out there. That's why you have a big customer base, and that's going to give you a lot more accurate data than them just trying to write some program that's going to go through it all and figure out which one is the right book that somebody's searching for.
Now, Dr. Frieda Drake, what would you suggest? Because I ran into somebody the other day when they were and they dated this fellow who was very popular in the news, and now he's like 23. But when you meet somebody that you think, oh, they should have a book, what are the steps that they should take in order to get that person
published?
Yeah, to get that person to get a book. You want to be their PR person, What are all those steps?
Well, it depends on what you're doing and what the genre is and what they really want to get out of it. Both of my parents are published authors. My dad is a very well-known published author. And my mom has also put out something in the last couple of years that's been very well received. And they went the standard publishing route. They got actual publishers. I don't remember if Dad had an agent, but they went the standard route, dealing with publishers, submitting their works to be edited, to be overviewed, a very complex process for a true book, like something that Dean Koontz would put out, Stephen King. Well, I don't like Stephen King, but the genuine, authentic authors. But nowadays with internet publishing, if they want to do an ebook, it would be very easy, apparently, to go to this one company, which is, oh gosh, what was the name of it again?
I think you said CreateSpace was one of them.
Yes, CreateSpace.
Right on Amazon.
Yeah, and there are other ones out there too. I actually happen to know a couple people. If anybody ever wants to contact me, I have some connections in that industry with people that are very tied into the industry, and it's easy enough. It's easy enough to do. At that point, you can forego the agent, and you can forego really the publisher. You only get a little bit of help, and you're up and running and on the web. But I would caution anybody who really does that kind of publishing. It used to be called vanity publishing, but I would caution people to take it seriously because it still presents who you are. And I've seen too many people who are quick to publish and desperately needed an editor. And when you, it's just like putting out an email that has a lot of misspellings in it or poor grammatical choices. You project an image of yourself that may not even be true. So you have to weigh out the pros and cons. If you're really sure you can do it on your own, great. But I would definitely have other people vet it, look over the book before you move forward with it.
That's even another job. You could just be sitting at home proofreading people's work, right?
I think you certainly could.
I did that before, proofread.
Right. And I don't think that there is I don't I don't think that that's a market that's going to ever be obsolete. There's just not enough good programs out there that can pick up all the flaws. I picked up a published book the other day and found that there were misspellings in there. They weren't actual misspellings. It was word substitutions, using the word there, T-H-E-I-R, instead of T-H-E-Y apostrophe R-E, because they were probably using an automated editor instead of having somebody go through it. And the magic of an editor, too, a good editor, which my mother has been in the past, a good editor tears through the material, makes suggestions, is not afraid to critique, is not afraid to say, this just doesn't feel right here. You need to change this up a little bit. And you're not going to find that with any automated software. You really need that human touch. Very, very true. And there would be a market for it. It's a good thought. Although I don't know how you'd go about marketing it, but I think we can talk about that next, because we're going to deal with some internet marketing, and that's where Ben probably comes in more than anything.
I've definitely seen a website that does copyright reading. I'm sure they'd be very happy to be doing books and doing editing on books. I think that sounds like a lot more fun,
wouldn't it?
Than some of the jobs they end up getting. But there are companies out there that are doing it. There are websites out there, and there's a lot of demand. Content is huge on the web, on anywhere on the web. Mm-hmm. So anywhere from websites to self-published books to press releases to blogs.
Right.
So people make use of the service a lot. I'm sure you would be blind by the end of the week. I'm sure it would be very, very hard.
You know who would be an excellent guest on your program?
Who?
If you're talking books, we have a show that's on here during the week. It's the Book Club, hosted by John Austin.
Yes, I have heard of that, and actually I've been wanting to get in touch with him. I thought he would be an interesting one to talk to. We're going to have to check him out. I also would say that if you have the ability to edit and write, then you got it made. You know, that's my mother. My mother's book is called Growing Older, Growing Wiser, and sometimes it's really cool to be able to pick up your parents' book and say, hey, I like this book. You know, you don't always know before you look at it, but I like it. It's well written.